Today, I'm making a short response video to Official Divines, The Truth, Goku versus Superman, Who Wins? Video.
Contains infinite dimensional constructs are pretty insane considering the fact that said infinite dimensional statements don't even exist. Simply having a statement claiming there to be parallel worlds and infinite dimensions could just simply be affirming both the quantity and the quality of the same thing, as it is a common trope used in fiction to represent parallel worlds and universes.
Having a statement of parallel worlds and infinite dimensions doesn't mean they are necessarily of same quality cause they have separate definitions. That's just presumptuous.
Not to mention that Paul Jenkins literally debunked that claim and admitted his previous statement was a misunderstanding.
A single writer statement doesn't determine the transcendence of the entire cosmology cause. That would be a death of author fallacy. Also, the DC cosmology has specifically demonstrated the functions and properties of geometric dimensions, so for you to conclude that DC is only limited to one variant of dimensions is also another assumption.
The bleed being pan-dimensional is literally in context to it containing all the universes, and it has been referred to as a hyperspace on multiple occasions. Another thing is that the Platonic statements come from that match, so it could simply just be dismissed as a knowledge claim.
The law of identity is a fundamental law of logic, that something is equal to itself. It can literally be anything. Something is identical to itself. A is A, B is B, and C is C.
If the comic scan states there are Platonic worlds, then by logic that is equal to there are Platonic worlds. To be denial of said statement would be to ignore existence. Breaking the law of identity inherently makes you a liar.
However, the truth of the matter is that Platonism scales absolutely nowhere, and only entails subjective concepts which have no universally applicable axioms to rest on, such as love, beauty, and anger. Multiple statements regarding the existence of higher dimensions are taken out of context. The almost 2,000 dimensional scan is from a computer model about a theoretical model of the universe, and I don't think I need to explain why those two factors alone debunk the claims. Another statement about 11 dimensions is easily refuted by the fact that dimensions don't explode.
If you're referring to IRL, then yay, dimensions don't explode. However, to discredit a feat with the justification that it can't be done IRL defeats the purpose of any versus debate cause. Then you're applying laws to fictional characters that shouldn't even apply to them.
And the scan has conflicting conditions, as 11 dimensions are stated to be unquantifiable, which makes no sense whatsoever. The 8-dimensional arguments come from the scan where the top has no relation to the bottom, as simply talking about reading a book with an 8th-dimensional Mobius curve within its story doesn't imply that that's what's being referenced in the bottom part of the scan, as he simply says he's from a higher dimension, which is true, and he calls the world 3D, so any claims about DC's atoms being boundless are easily contradicted by the source material. Not to mention, the 5th dimension has actually been referenced as spatial dimensions multiple times, and this scan where it states that it isn't is literally a fake scan. The DC cosmology in of itself has been heavily overrated for multiple years, but lucky for you guys, I'm currently working on a massive debunk to DC's cosmology and why it actually doesn't get past 6th dimensional. And trust me, the amount of evidence for that is insane. But let's talk about Superman's feats and why they aren't as impressive as people think. The feat of Superman punching the World Forger is taken heavily out of context because, for one, the World Forger is weakened when he's within the multiverse, and he literally agrees with Batman to align multiple stars so Superman can pass through them in order to amp himself to damage the World Forger.
Although that it is true World Forger is weaker existing in lower dimensions, he was still able to create hypertime with his bare hands. High outerversal on the high end, counting the infinite number of geometric dimensions that's smaller than hypertime.